7 o'clock.
We are recording.
Okay. I will call to order the meeting of the Finance Committee on June 1st, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber and via Zoom, which meeting link can be found on the agenda. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Camo is here. Alderman Gavea.
Here.
Alderwoman Timmons.
Here.
Alderman Clemens.
Here.
Alderman Moran. Alderman Klee. Mayor Donchus. You have 4 in attendance.
Okay, we do have a quorum.
And I'd like to make a motion in the absence of Mayor Donchus and Alderman Klee that Alderman at Large Ben Clemens chair the Finance Committee meeting this evening.
Okay, you've all heard the motion. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that motion carries. Thank you. All right, we will move on. We'll go to first public comment. Is there anybody here that would like to speak? Seeing no one and no one online, we'll move on to communications. Communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to place on file and award the contract for copper wire to upgrade the municipal fire alarm to power and telephone in an amount not to exceed $130,000. Funding will be through Department 152 Fire Rescue, Fund 81700, Infrastructure Improvement / Bond.
Okay, you've all heard the motion. I think Chief is here if you want to come up and explain.
Good evening, Steve Buxton, Chief Nashua Fire. This is a result of the infrastructure program for the fire alarm system. The market, as you can imagine, for copper wire at this point in time is very volatile. We do have pricing to secure the materials for around $90,000. The communication you have in front of you is not to exceed $130,000 because that's how volatile the market is at this point in time. So we're looking to place this order as expediently as possible so we can lock in our price. So
Okay.
that's pretty much it.
Anyone have any questions or concerns? If not, you've all heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that motion carries. Moving on, the next communication is from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to place on file and approve the purchase and installation of 142 Lion Collegiate lockers with doors to Material Handling Sales Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $189,854. Funding will be through Department 150 Police Department, Fund 81200, Buildings and Improvements / General Fund.
Okay, thank you. You've all heard the motion. I believe we have someone here from the police to speak about that.
Yes, hi, how you doing? It's Rob Page. I'm a captain with the police department. I'll be speaking for the police department tonight, and also in the room with me is Deputy Joe Fay.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Can you give us a brief overview of this?
Sure. The police department is seeking professional services to install Lion Collegiate lockers with doors. The bid is for 142 lockers, which are over 40 years old, and we'll be replacing the original lockers from 1979. Bids were received from the below listed vendors. You should all have a copy of those. It was 2 vendors. The first was Material Handling Sales, and they bid $189,854. And the second bid came in from Turnstone Corporation for $353,328. The police department recommends the order to the Material Handling Sales, Inc. in the amount of $189,854. Material Handling, Inc. is an authorized dealer of the Lion brand lockers with Partners Plus pricing due to the vast quantity of lockers purchased on an annual basis. Funding is available through the NPD HVAC Capital Project Bond. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any committee members have any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Alderwoman Timmons?
Yes, I just want to know, what are you guys going to do with the old lockers?
This is Deputy Chief Joe Fay speaking on this one. Part of the project is for removal and disposal of the old lockers. That was part of the RFP that was sent out, part of the bid that was submitted. So they will be responding, removing the old lockers and disposing of them as part of the job.
Can you repurpose them at all?
We cannot, we don't have a desire to. Like the captain had mentioned, the lockers are from 1979, so they're extremely beat up. They're also rusting and so forth. So the best option for us was to actually have them disposed of and removed from the location.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, and that motion carries. Next communication is from Kelly Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to place on file and approve change order number 1 for the purchase of chemicals sodium hypochlorite in an amount not to exceed $67,000 from Borden and Remington of Fall River, Massachusetts. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater, fund wastewater, account classifications 61 supplies and materials.
Thank you. Do we have someone here from wastewater?
Yes,
Yeah.
Dave Boucher, wastewater superintendent.
Hi, Mr. Boucher. Can you go over this one for us?
Yes, thank you. This is for the purchase of 2 chemicals. One's a polymer. It helps separate the water from the sludge at the wastewater facility, and sodium hypochlorite, which is a disinfectant, which we use to treat the treated water before it goes to the river. Initially, at the beginning of the fiscal year, we had budgeted an annual cost based off of historical data. Unfortunately, we had heavy rains at the beginning of the fiscal year, which caused us to use more sodium hypochlorite than expected. And the polymer, we had some supply chain issues. In order to get the polymer, we had to purchase smaller totes of polymers versus the larger truckloads, which came at a higher expense, but it was in order for us not to run out. So this money's being requested is for finishing off the fiscal year with these 2 chemicals, purchasing them for the rest of the fiscal year. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, and that motion carries.
Thank you.
Next communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to approve, place on file, and award a 3-year contract for the transportation and processing of the City of Nashua's single-stream recyclables at an annual cost of $400,000 and for a total amount not to exceed $1,200,000 for the first 3 years to Casella Recycling LLC of Charlestown, Mass, pending approval of the fiscal year 23 operating budget and subject to annual budget approvals. The term of this contract will be from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste, Fund Solid Waste, Account Classification 55, Other Contracted Services.
Okay, and Mr. LaFleur, I think, is here, right, for that?
Jeff, we can't hear you.
Seem to have some technical difficulties. Here we go.
That's what you get for using Apple products, I guess.
No Apple products, I love them.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
hi,
Sorry about that.
not a problem.
My earphones wouldn't connect. We went out, this is for my Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent of Solid Waste. This is for our single stream recycling. We ship out every year. We went out to bid. We actually got 3 bidders. Casella has been doing our work for the past 12 to 15 years, and they actually won the bid again this year. So we're happy to stay with them. They've been working phenomenal with the city.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments? Alderman Gavea?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one question. I see there was a bid that came in a little bit lower than Casella. Is there a reason we didn't go with them and we went with them instead?
Yes, sir. It's because of the trucking. They're all the way up in Portland, Maine, and it would take so much in the trucking. Their trucking was like 3 times the cost. So it actually pushed them over the threshold.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other further questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Next communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to place on file and approve the engineering contract for pavement management services with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated of Burlington, Mass. in an amount not to exceed $31,700. Funding will be through Department 160, Admin Engineering, Fund Bond, Activity Paving.
Okay, we've all heard the motion. Mr. Hudson, I believe, is here for that.
Yes, I am, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. So this is, as noted, a contract with Stantec Consulting. This is to support our paving program. We just re-upped for 5 years more of bonding authority. And we need to continually assess the network. Under this contract, they will review 1/3 of the city. We do 1/3 of the city each year. This year will be the southern third.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Next communication is from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to place on file and approve Amendment 1 to the engineering services contract for tasks required by the EPA MS4 permit with Hazen and Sawyer PC of Manchester, New Hampshire, in an amount not to exceed $40,427. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater, Fund Wastewater, Activity, Stormwater Abatement.
Okay,
So this, again, Dan Hudson, City Engineer, this is part of permitting requirements. The municipal separated storm sewer system permitting issued by EPA requires that we go to our drainage outfalls and test them. City has at least 359 outfalls. We've tested a couple hundred of them, but we have the rest to test. So these services will be provided under that arrangement. The effort is testing during dry weather. You wouldn't expect to have much flow during dry weather. And if you do, then you kind of have to chase down why you're seeing that. So that's what this effort is, and it's required by EPA permitting.
okay. Any questions, comments from the committee? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Next communication is from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to place on file and approve the engineering services contract with Hayner and Swanson Incorporated of Nashua, New Hampshire for sewer and drainage analysis and design in an amount not to exceed $75,000. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater, Fund Wastewater, Activity CSO Flooding, and Stormwater Abatement.
Okay, you've all heard the motion?
So this, again, Dan Hudson, City Engineer. We like to approach our projects as complete street types projects. We're currently working on a project on Factory Street, a design of Factory Street. But we have often need for design of stormwater, separation from sewer, and that sort of thing, to support our other efforts. So that's what this contract does. This is with a local engineering firm. It'll be on as needed basis to support us with those type of design efforts, stormwater and some sewer design efforts.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? All right, you've all heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Next communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to place on file and approve the engineering services contract for the safe transportation for every pedestrian project with Hoyle, Tanner and Associates Incorporated of Manchester, New Hampshire, in an amount not to exceed $59,980. Funding will be through Department 160, Admin Engineering, Fund, Grant, and Prior Year Escrow, Activity, Rectangular Rapid Flashing Beacon Step Grant.
Okay,
So this project is one that we're going to do collaboratively with Hoyle Tanner. Hoyle Tanner was selected through an RFQ process, which is request for qualifications for highway, bridge, traffic, and bicycle pedestrian work. The city received a grant for the Safe Transportation for Every Pedestrian program, which is a STEP program. The goal is to design and implement safer pedestrian crossings throughout the downtown area. The grant was for 20 specific locations. And improvements will include, better visibility signs, curb extensions, and installation of rectangular rapid flashing beacons. Again, this is something that the city in-house is doing some of the design, and portions of it we're getting support from Hoyle Tanner with.
Any questions or comments? Alderman Kamel?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Hudson, I didn't quite catch, you said there was a number of locations that this project was going to encompass. Do you know what locations those are, where the work is going to be done?
So I don't have the full list here, but they're throughout the downtown area. There's the existing crossings on Main Street will be looked at, although we've already made some improvements there. There's some crossings on West Hollis Street and some other locations. So it's a variety of locations, all pedestrian crossings that exist, that we're seeking to make safer through this program.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Further comments or questions? All right, you've all heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And that motion carries. Next communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to place on file and approve change order number 1 to the Fimble Garage Door contract with Fimble Garage Doors of Merrimack, New Hampshire, in an amount not to exceed $61,615.70. Funding will be through Department 161 Streets, Fund Escrow, Activity Garage Door Replacement.
Okay. And,
Good evening, all. John Ibarra, Street Superintendent.
hello, how are
So-
you?
Good, how are you?
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and if you could explain this, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So, back in November of 21, we went out to bid to replace some of our overhead doors that are in poor condition due to the corrosive environment. We selected the worst 5 out of the 26 that we had, not knowing where the bidding would land us. After the contract was awarded, we ended up having more money in escrow, and we asked them if they would be willing to hold their price and quote more doors to fulfill the balance of what I had to invest in this project. And they agreed to. So we're going to replace 6 more doors with this change order. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments from the committee? I do have a question. What is the life expectancy of the new doors?
That's a great question. I will have to look into it. I know we are replacing the original doors from the street department. But I could not tell you.
How old are those?
1978, I believe they were
Okay.
installed.
Okay, so, yeah, if we can get 30 years out of these, I think that would be a good thing, especially because they held the price. I mean, that's, in these days, that's kind
I don't know if I'm gonna be around 30 more years.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In this environment with the supply chain issues, for them to agree to this is phenomenal. Same with my next change order, which we'll get to.
Yep, absolutely. Any other comments or questions, Alderman Kamel?
You actually made me think of it, Mr. Chair, but with the installation of the new doors, is the company offering any warranty or any service plan?
We're actually going to enlist them as our service contractor. We've been looking for a new one. And they usually give a 1-year warranty on their installed product, like any contractor would.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions, comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. And the next communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to place on file and approve change order number 2 to the 2020 pavement markings contract with K5 Corporation of Rockland, Mass. in the amount of $162,000. Funding for this contract is through Department 161, Streets, Fund General, account classification 54, other services.
Okay, you've heard the motion.
John Ibarra, Superintendent of Street Department. So back in June of 2020, K5 was awarded the striping contract for the city. We contract with them to take on a big share of the striping within the city. They do our long lines, our thermoplastic letters and symbols. They assist with our crosswalks. We have city crews that also do crosswalks. But due to the volume, we've always had a contractor on board to help us out, just so for the safety of the pedestrians, motor vehicle traffic. They also have agreed to hold their pricing, which again is phenomenal in this current climate. And I'd like to award the money from our line in our operating budget to them to continue working with K5.
Okay,
And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
thank you. Any questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that motion carries.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Next, from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to place on file and approve the purchase of a set of 4 wheels and teeth for the Caterpillar 826K compactor from Karen Compactor Company of Escalon, California, in an amount not to exceed $63,525. Funding for this contract is through Department 168 Solid Waste, Fund Solid Waste, account classification 54, vehicle repairs and maintenance.
Okay, and is this Mr. LaFleur?
Thank you so much. Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent Solid Waste. Just like any vehicle that we purchase, the wheels need to be replaced from time to time. This vehicle is the one that is right in the back here. You can see the big teeth on the wheel compactor. They're starting to get worn. They're not compacting the trash properly, or they're not compacting it as well as it could be. It's reached this life limit, so it's time to purchase 4 new wheels. We actually went out looking through Karen Compactor. We have a very good relationship with them. We specifically bid out their wheels and their blades for their superiority. I went out to ask them for weld-on teeth, and they gave me a bid of $78,000. And then they came back. The owner actually called me back and said, "Listen, I got 4 wheels here that are already made for $63,525." So we jumped on those right away. Saving $13,000, $15,000 for the city is a lot better than having to purchase teeth at a little bit higher price and then having to have them welded on.
Absolutely. Any questions or comments? Alderman Govea?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question through you to Mr. LaFleur. So how long is like the life expectancy of these wheels in the last set that we had? How often do we have to replace them? I guess the real question.
I'm sorry, Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent of Solid Waste. It depends on the materials that we're going over. We're not traveling as much on the dirt as we used to, so we're getting a little bit longer life out of them. But as you can imagine, there's, the sand and the dirt and the trash and just there's a lot of abrasive materials in it. We get about 3 to 5 years on some teeth, again, depending on what's going on with the materials that we're crushing and going around. We've reached 3 years, 3.5, almost 4 years with these teeth right now, and these wheels have already been redone once, so that's why it makes it really special for us to be able to pick up these wheels that are brand new or newish to us for us to replace.
Okay. Further questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to place on file and approve an amendment to the contract with Wright Pierce for the preliminary design plans and specifications for the dry well valve and pipe replacement project in an amount not to exceed $78,300. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater, Fund wastewater, activities, wash press upgrade, and screening odor control.
Okay. And Mr. Boucher, are you here to speak on this?
Yes, I am, thank you. Dave Boucher, wastewater superintendent. Wright Pierce is the engineering firm that was hired to do the preliminary designs of our dry well valve and pipe replacement. That's replacing 2 stories of 32-inch steel pipe along with some associated valves in our main building that receives all the wastewater from the city. In this area, it also includes removing all the screenings from the wastewater, sending it up to ground level and storing it in a what we call a rag can, but it's a big dumpster until it can be hauled away. While we were doing this project, the preliminary design, we have 2 smaller capital improvement projects that came up that were previously approved for funding. That's in the same area, and it involves the screening removals. One is that screening garage that has that big dumpster in it. Doesn't have any, it has a little bit of ventilation, but it has no odor control. So the building, which our administration's in, can often smell pretty horrible. So the other part is when the screenings comes up to ground levels, it has to be washed, squeezed before it gets sent to the next room. There's a flaw in the design of once it leaves this wash press and goes into the next room, there's 2 90-degree elbows and it goes up towards the ceiling of our building before it goes over, and often jams and gets clogged, so we have to tear it all apart. So one of the projects is adding an odor control system to that screening room, and the other one is modifying the discharge of the rags that go into that room to a lower level where the screenings won't clog up. We want to hire Wright Pierce to do this at the same time to be more cost effective. It's in the same vicinity and also included in the construction work as one project, which would help save money on when we put it out to bid, having that one contractor for these 3 projects. I can answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, any questions, comments?
Those both sound like very good ideas.
Yeah. Absolutely. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, and that motion carries. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've gotten through our communications.
Mm-hmm.
So any unfinished business?
There is none.
Tabling committee.
There is none.
New business resolutions.
There are none.
New business ordinances.
There are none.
The record of expenditures.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that the Finance Committee has complied with the city charter and ordinances pertaining to the record of expenditures for the period from May 13th, 2022 through May 26th, 2022.
All heard the motion. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. If it's okay with us, I'm gonna move straight to public comment, and then if there's any remarks by Alderman, we can do that after that. So, public comment? Thank you.
Good evening, Lori Ortolano, 41 Berkeley Street. I just have a question that's finance related, but not to what you covered tonight. At one point in one of your alderman meetings, Ernie Jetty asked about having a review regarding the tax, the spending cap. Because the state law had changed, you know, the ruling from the court was Nashua was fine, then the legislator overturned that and created their own version, right or wrong. I mean, I do think local control is what it was about, but the state did what they did, that's fine. And now we had the changes made at the state, and Ernie asked in the meeting if somebody could give an overview on what's covered in that cap. And Rick Dowd said that he would provide that during the budget meetings. He would provide an overview of that. I've written several emails to him and have asked if he's going to do that and when he's going to do it. And I'm primarily interested because I don't fully understand that cap. And I know the city says one thing, and I know there's another side that says something else. I'm trying to figure out what it really is and what it really means, particularly when it comes to grant money. I heard that challenged before, and I don't know why no one's responding to me. I don't know if I asked some hot potato question that legal has said, you know what, we're not gonna talk about it publicly. We're gonna do whatever we wanna do and the public doesn't get to know. I object to that, on the record, I object to that. I think the public has a right to understand it, I wanna understand it, and I wanna be able to formulate an opinion if I think that that cap is being used correctly. So I'm hoping somebody can find out from Mr. Dowd or the administration if they plan to allow that discussion to take place, because I want it to happen. I want to hear it and I want to understand it. So that's my input for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else, anyone online? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to remarks by Alderman. Alderman Kamal.
I only have one brief one. If you're not doing anything tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock, Holman Stadium, first round of the high school baseball playoffs. First time in history, North has faced South in the playoffs. South is the 3 seed, I believe, and North is the 14 seed. So go out to Holman, check out those 2 high schools playing each other in the playoffs tomorrow. It should be a great game. Last time they played, it was a 1-0 game that went 9 innings, I believe. Super exciting game. So check that out if you're not busy tomorrow at 2.
All right, sounds good. Anyone else? Alderman Timmons?
Hopefully I'll be able to live stream it because I won't be there. Not because I'm just exhausted, to be honest with you. I gotta unpack. So, I would love to go to the baseball game, and that seemed to be pretty exciting. But I'm just exhausted.
I'll get some pictures for you.
Okay, don't they should live stream it, is it? Not?
Oh, I'm sure it'll be on the
YouTube
channel
or something.
16.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think.
60, okay, all right.
All right, anything else?
I believe I just heard Channel 99 from our friends down
Yes.
the hall.
Channel 99, okay, there you go.
Channel 99.
Yes,
All right.
Yes, it will be on tomorrow.
all right.
Will you be there, Jeff?
I'll be part of it. You're right.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, if there's nothing further, do I have a motion to adjourn? Alderman Gavea.
I move to adjourn.
Motion is to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and we are adjourned at 7:32 PM. All right. Well, we got through it.
7:30.